Hello friends, welcome back to WizKid. Friends, you must have heard about the French Dassault Rafale landing in Ambala Air Base of India. At that time, I switched on my TV and all the news anchors were talking about that particular aircraft only. One of them mentioned that Rafale is a 4.5th generation fighter jet. This raised a great curiosity in my mind with hundreds of questions. What are these generations? What do they need to do with fighter aircraft in the first place? So I went to my dad, searched the internet and YouTube to finally get the answer. I thought it is an interesting topic, so why not make a video about it? So, I am here to tell you about the 5 generations of fighter jets. First generation fighters were also known to be subsonic fighter jets and were in service from mid 1940s to mid 1950s. The first generation of jet fighters such as F-86, MiG-15 and MiG-17 had basic avionics systems with no radars or self-protection countermeasures and were armed with machine guns or cannons as well as unguided bombs and rockets. A common characteristic of this generation of fighter was that the jet engines did not have afterburners and the aircraft operated in the subsonic regime. Second generation fighter jets operated between mid 1950s to early 1960s. These planes were able to reach and sustain supersonic speeds in level flight due to advances in engine design and aerodynamics. This generation's fighters saw the introduction of air to air missiles as well as radar warning receivers into such aircraft as the F 5, MiG 19, and MiG 21s. During this period, although air to air combat was still within visual range, radar guided missiles started to extend engagement ranges. Early 1960s to 70s saw the induction of third generation fighter jets. This generation witnessed improvements in maneuverability and significant enhancements to the avionics suits and weapon systems. They were also the first cadre of multi-role fighters such as the MiG-23, F-4 and Mirage 3. Multi-role means that the same aircraft was able to perform different roles like air defense, deep penetration strike, recce missions, etc. The major change brought about by this generation of aircraft was that it was no longer necessary to visually acquire enemy aircraft to shoot it down thanks to the development of semi-active guided missiles. Let's now talk about fourth generation fighter jets that came into existence between 1970 to late 80s. These fighter jets saw a trend of improvement in avionics such as head-up displays and optimized aerodynamic design continued with the development of fly-by-wire fighters such as the MiG-29, Su-27, F-15, F-16 and Mirage 2000. Most of this generation of fighters had the ability to both switch and swing roles between air-to-air and air-to-ground as opposed to the previous role dedicated aircraft. This in turn blurred the distinction between control of the air and strike missions. Now let me introduce you to the 4.5 generation fighter jets. The concept of having a half generation increment came during late 1980s from the fact that aircraft of this generation were basically 4th generation jet fighters that were upgraded with AESA, active electronically scanned array radar, high capacity data link, radar absorbent materials to achieve stealth capability, enhanced avionics, and the ability to deploy current and reasonably advanced armaments. These technologies added significant enough game-changing combat capability to these redesigned fighters to be deemed a generation of their own, hence the Generation 4.5 rating. Aircraft like FA-18EF Super Hornet Eurofighter Typhoon, Saab JAS-39 Gripen, Su-30 Mark 1 and Dassault Rafale fall in this generation of aircraft. Let me now talk about currently the most advanced generation of jet fighters, which is the 5th generation. The first fifth generation fighter F-22 Raptor was introduced in 2005. F-35 came in 2006 and then came the Chinese Chengdu J-20. These are the only operational aircraft belonging to this generation. Russian Su-57 will be another addition to this once the aircraft is formally inducted in service. A quantum improvement in the fighter's lethality and survivability has been a qualifying requirement to achieve generational change, and the fifth generation fighters personify these traits. Some of the mention-worthy qualities of these fighters include all aspect stealth even when armed, high-performance airframes, and advanced avionics features. These aircraft are also born networked, which allows them to receive and share information with other elements within the battle space for enhanced situation awareness. An example of the complexity and sophistication of the F-35 software is that it uses about 100 times the number of parameters than a fourth generation fighter does to define a potential threat. Ultimately, a fifth generation fighter aircraft allows the pilot to maintain decision superiority over an adversary. This provides greater chances of the survivability, which, when combined with effective lethality, assures battle space dominance. So friends, I hope you liked this video. If so, don't forget to share it with your family members and friends. Also subscribe to this YouTube channel. I will see you very soon. Bye bye. Take care.